We're going to be talking about Rhody's lone recruit, Tyonne Farrell. And I have a great guest today who's known Tyonne for ages, right? And your name
Yeah,
is Colby Giacubeno.
perfect.
How are you, Colby? Thanks for coming in and talk about Tyonne.
Good, good. Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. Appreciate you making the time. And yeah, I mean, I think the Rhode Island fan base has plenty of reasons to be excited for a kid like Tyon. I've had the pleasure of watching him and since he was a freshman. So it's, given me some
Wow.
opportunities to really watch him grow.
What do we need to know about him? My impression, I did a lot of research, talked to a lot of people. I have a fan at Rhode Island. He's like a scout. He knows, and I'm going to quote him later on in the show. He sounds like he's a real great defensive player, but his offense needs to grow a little bit. But I'm going to leave it to you to tell me about him. What does Rhody
Yeah.
Nation need to know about Tyon?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first things you gotta account for with Tyon, man, is he's a junkyard dog. And obviously assistant coach Kenny Johnson made the move down to Georgetown, and he was the main recruiter for Tyon. But make no mistake, the entire staff was a fan of his game. And I that goes from top to bottom. And it was just because of the intensity, the passion, and the motor that he brings to the floor. I think Tyon's real turning point was last summer when he was playing with Team Mello in the EYBL circuit.
Hmm.
I think that stage allowed him, well, the stage, and then also just him allowing to show off his offensive skill set that he had been building on, um,
Mm.
was a big reason why his name kind of started catching momentum in recruiting world, I would say. A lot of the local low to mids were after him, and they loved him. But Rhode Island was pretty much one of his first offers, if I'm not mistaken, and they were the most consistent program throughout. So he decided to pull the trigger and trust the staff up there and make the commitment, which I thought was a good move by him. Um, but yeah, man, it's interesting with Tyon, and I'm sure we'll address all the facets of his game throughout this show. But for those who don't know Tyon, I mean, I would say really from his sophomore and junior year, like he was a role player at best. Get an offensive rebound again for a second chance points that would help the momentum of the game. But then slowly but surely, you started seeing the flashes. Like, wait a minute, he's starting to put stuff together now. And then again, the rest is history. Once he hit the floor for Team Mello, and usually a lot of times you don't see guys who are role players go into the EYBL circuit and really be as effective as he was in that aspect as an offensive player. Like that's
Hmm.
not the place to find your identity because the talent is as the highest that you're going to find in the high school landscape on the EYBL circuit. But he did it. So then when he came back to play his high school game or his high school season, it was a step down in terms of just overall competition because you're not playing against 10 to
Yeah.
12 high major players, and it showed with his success and the team success.
That's very interesting. We're so in touch, Rhody Nation, and so many fans will be watching our viewers this podcast. When Ben Hammond decommitted, it was a major blow, but it was a tough pill to swallow, but it cushioned a little bit because we still had Tyon, and but we were looking at it so closely, and someone noticed that Tyon liked the tweet that Ben had it by saying that he's decommitting. So people are thinking, oh no, he's going to go next. And here he is.
Yeah.
So that's
Now,
how closely we look.
I'll tell you, like, and this isn't a secret anymore, but the A10, when you're looking at, there's so many, obviously the whole conferencing thing is getting more fluid by the year, but um, dating back even 2 years ago and last year and then going forward, like A10 is one of the most underrated leagues I still think year in and year out. And now even more so with the transfer portal, you're getting all these Big East, ACC, SEC, wherever you want to go. Those transfers coming into the league as well. So the league's getting a little bit older, but it's getting a lot better in terms of talent. But not only is it, I think, very underrated in on the court aspect, but the fan bases are insane. I mean, you have Dayton,
Yeah.
VCU has a rabid fan base. Even George Mason and George Washington here, they're starting to gain a lot more momentum within their own fan base as well. Then you go to Rhode Island. I mean, I was aware of it just because with Coach Johnson, he was always involved with DMV guys. So
Hmm.
when I would provide an update here or there, Rhode Island Nation right away jumped on it. They're supportive, all that stuff. And the thing that I liked about it, where is rare that you don't see often, is when Ben did decide to decommit, which was kind of you saw coming because the coach that recruited him obviously took another job. I didn't really go through all the comments per se, but a lot of them was just like, "Look, Ben, we wish you best of luck," and that doesn't happen often, especially in this world of social media where you can kind of hide behind a keyboard, say what you want, and a lot of people don't keep in mind that these are kids. I just thought it was really nice to see that a lot of those Rhode Island diehard fans, we're still wishing Ben well, and I can guarantee you that like even if Coach Johnson was still there, like Ben would still be coming to Rhode Island.
Really? This is
Yeah,
breaking news
I
right
mean
here. That
that yes to me. I mean, because even when he was everybody
wow.
saw the late surge that
Hmm.
he went through in later in the year.
He did.
So it was an aspect that I was trying to just kind of keep a pulse on as much as I can. Again, I can't. It's not like Ben has told me this personally or Coach Johnson told me this personally, but from what I felt and from the people that I talked to, Ben was very very comfortable going up there with Coach Johnson. I mean, that was the common ground for both of them, and that's a big reason why he committed because Ben was just like Tyonne in that aspect in terms of loyalty,
Yeah.
consistency, and all that good stuff. He wasn't really looking for anything else, and Kenny supplied that to him. The way that recruiting class was being built, if they can sustain that in terms of getting those type of players with that approach, you guys are in really good shape just because these guys that I mean, Tyonne has proven it. Ben has obviously proven it. They're winners. They know how to win. They play in very competitive high school leagues that have proven track records that the guys will translate to the college level of their choice and produce. So I mean, I don't have any, with Tyonne, there's no real like uh, major cause for concern that I wouldn't have with any other freshman, just in terms
Yeah.
of getting acclimated to what the college level brings.
Can you fill me in on his statistics for this year? How did he finish out?
Yeah, so Tyonne finished averaging 16 points and 7 rebounds a game. He was first team all league,
Yeah.
first team all Baltimore Sun. Mount St. Joe, I believe they finished with a 35-6 overall record.
Wow.
And that's been kind of business as usual for them. Hall of Fame coach in Coach Pat
Yeah.
Clatchy, who has produced NBA talent. He knows exactly what it takes at every single level to get guys ready and to be sure they're ready to produce. He's not really a coach that is going to direct his players to go in one spot or to go to one destination in terms of a college decision.
Sure.
So he kind of lets his players, evaluate all those different type of things, and from there he'll kind of tailor. Okay, well he's going to go play here. Let me make sure he's ready in this aspect, and so I think it's going to be pretty much again business as usual for the Mount St. Joe alumni who goes to the next level and see success.
How well? What did he do? Shoot from the floor, and most importantly, if you knew how he shot from the foul line, what were his numbers there? Do you know offhand?
Yeah, not I don't have those offhand. I will say though,
If you would guess, what would you say?
I mean, I
Especially
would
foul
say,
shooting.
yeah, I mean,
Please say 60 or more.
I would say more. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say,
Oh, well.
and I wouldn't say he was 75 to 80. I
Yeah.
would probably
Well,
put him anywhere between like 63 and 68 maybe. If I just had to
that's
guess.
pretty good.
It's
We had
yeah,
guys in
and
the 30s, so
yeah, well,
we
and
can't have that anymore. So 60 is workable, I think. Let's go over to some videotape now.
Flag to Gibbs Lawhorn. Down low to Sean Stewart. 3 seconds left. That up ahead quickly goes Gibbs Lawhorn in the corner. His shots. Givens to Stewart. He's dropped flag. behind the back. That reverse turnaround jump shot, no.
I have to stop there because that's head to head. You're seeing Cooper Flagg, the number one player in high school, going to Duke. And what did you see there with Tyonne?
So the one thing that I want to point out from that clip and all the other clips, if you watch closely, is Tyonne's always the second guy off the ground to contest these jumpers, where a lot of times, especially when you have a team that is not, when you have any team facing an elite team like Montverde, you have the jitters, you're trying to anticipate what this guy's going to do. Now you're one-on-one with Cooper Flagg, who's the number one prospect in the land, has an argument to be a future number one pick in the NBA draft. Doesn't let that speed him up, doesn't let him get too excited. As Cooper lifts, okay, now I'll lift, because a lot of times you start playing heady offensive players, show them the ball, they'll jump right into them, let's get to the free throw line. Every other contest that you see Tyonne have in these clips, he's the second guy off the floor, and that's a huge thing that they teach, especially at the college level, because we're not trying to foul jump shooters. So, but not only that, Tyonne, Cooper puts his head down, Tyonne cuts him off, he reacts well to the counter, and again, he's staying square, he's not fouling.
Wow, that's great analysis. Well, one person that we won't have to worry about is Deron Holmes, because he's going pro. So
yeah,
would have liked to see him play defense against him, however.
Yeah.
Abrams to Farrell.
This gets more,
Down
look
low
at that
for
pass.
Valentine, and he finishes that down low.
So he's not just a defensive stopper. He has other elements of his game, and that pass was wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, and as I was saying before, like when he was a junior, he would get a lot of touches on the offensive end. If you look at Tyonne right now, where he is, he got a lot on the offensive end. He would get a lot of his touches right in that space, right in that high post place.
Swinging around at the top.
There's one.
Allen
That's
at
on
the
the
free
guard.
throw line. Gives it off to McNeely. His runner makes it. Driving as Farrell. He'll flush it home with two hands. Farrell to step through. A whole bunch of parties there. Farrell knocks down the first
10 minutes while he was getting cleaned and just walks right up and knocks down 2 free throws. He's up.
Oh, what do you think of the form? He made those foul shots, obviously, but
yeah. So I mean, I think the form's fine. Could there be tweaks? Sure, but my thing is, again, going from when he was a freshman to now, and the progress that he's made in his jump shot is you're very pleased by that.
Johnson gives it to Flagg with Farrell on him. Spins. An offensive foul will be called. Extended that left arm.
okay, we have a Cooper Flagg rule. Whenever he has the ball, Tyonne's on him. He looked like he got by him, but Tyonne did something well with that defense play. What did he do for someone like me? I don't have that insight that you have.
Yeah, no, and again, like even when we're watching this, because I remember watching this game live, and this is kind of the quality of the I don't know the word, but this is the quality of the picture when you were watching the live stream as well. So you can't really see the little tiny details, but once again, Tyonne defending in space against Cooper, and Cooper tries to go left on him, can't get it, gets right, maybe gets a slight edge, but Tyonne fights to get back in position. What I think happened was Cooper either had to wrap around him with his arm or get him with that little chicken wing on the elbow to maybe to get fully to the rim. I would say this. Maybe if they're playing this at Montverde, Cooper gets away with that play.
Yeah.
Since they're in Hawaii, I don't know where the refs came from, but they're going to call it how they see it. And just because he's the number one player in the country, we're not going to let you get away with that. But that's credit to Tyonne because again, makes multiple efforts in keeping him in front of him. And even when Cooper has the edge, he stays with it just to get in Cooper's mind. Look, I got to get a little bit more separation. That little bit more separation results in a turnover. See, and his jumper there looks, I would say this, that looked a lot less natural than it does now. It's a lot more fluid.
Yeah.
You could tell in that catch he kind of needed a second or two to really gain his footing and in his mind decipher, okay, should I shoot this even though I'm open? Now it's just this is an aspect of my game. Still something that he needs to improve on. Obviously, his long range shooting. That's something that he's going to always need to improve on. But just in terms of the fluidity and confidence and decision making and shot diet, if you will, that is a lot more slower than you would see in a senior year.
Yeah. You have time for some questions from our fans?
Sure, of course.
One of them is, do you think he could see some action this year with our team? And you may not know Rhode Island as well as I do, but we have a pretty good team, but there's room for someone if they're playing well to see some minutes. Is he that type of guy that could get 5-10 minutes defensively?
Yeah, I mean, listen, all college seasons, they're going to ebb and flow. You're going to go through highs and lows. It's a roller coaster ride. At the end of the day, these are still kids that, you have to kind of worry about in a way if they're coming to play every day, in terms of, giving their maximum effort. So I would say like if Tyonne isn't touching the floor right away, I wouldn't worry. I think Tyonne would be the type of kid who, if for whatever reason there's some issues in the front court or the wing and you're just not getting what you need out of guys and you got to start throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks, Tyonne is the type of guy who maybe gets a 5-minute opportunity and turns that into 7 the next game, and then maybe 10, and then maybe he starts carving out a role. I think for Tyonne, the biggest thing is, and again, I said at the beginning of the show, the type of concerns that I have with Tyonne are just like with any freshman that is going to the college level, and that is, can you execute in the half court the way that the head coach needs you to in certain sets? Are you able to make the correct reads out of the different options within those sets? Does the coach feel confident with you on the floor? Not to pour salt in the wound or anything like that, but like with a Ben Hammond, you can roll the ball out and say, Ben, go run this game for me, and he'll do it. Right. I can't say that with Tyonne. A, he's not a point guard. And then B, he's just still coming into his own in that sense. But what I can say is Tyonne's a very emotional player. And that can be great. And then there's stuff that he's going to still have to work through, like maturity wise, just in terms of what happens when he is in an environment at a VCU game or at Dayton, and his man just scores 2 straight possessions on him, and then he starts hearing jawing from the crowd, and all these little aspects of college basketball that you're really not quite used to. It takes time to adjust. If Tyonne can make those adjustments, and then also the biggest issue that I see with freshmen at the college level, and this spans through everyone, is the defensive end when you're not guarding the ball. Are you in the correct place? Anybody can guard the ball in terms of, I know what I need to do. I need to keep this guy in front of me, or he's a shooter. I need to get up in him and I need to pressure him. But when you're on that, when you're learning all the rotations and the timing of the rotations, and am I playing the deep hole? Do I have to be here to tag the roller? Who am I helping when this guy goes here? You want to make sure all your players are moving on a string. And when you're off of that by a half a second at the college level, that is the difference between a contested shot and a layup. The quicker I think that you can adjust and really be disciplined into learning that and making that your new language, I think that benefits you to finding the floor. What I would say to wrap it up is Tyonne's strength comes on the defensive end. And a lot of times that's how you got to earn your minutes on the floor. And if you can earn some minutes by doing that, if you're at the right place at the right time on offensive end, well, then again, that's when that 5 minutes turns to 7, turns to 10, turns to 13, and so on and so forth.
You mentioned Ben. One of my concerns when he was coming to Rhode Island was watching him in the Chipotle as they moved forward in the tournament and the competition got harder. His numbers went down, and I think going to the hole, he wasn't able to finish like he was in earlier games. So I'm not so sure his freshman year he was going to do what some of these Rhode Island fans do, rookie of the year and all those things. I think he would need some development too. What do you know his game too? What do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was of that. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Ben's just because again,
Yeah,
like I saw where he was as a freshman to now, and again, like he was very good as a freshman. Don't get me wrong, but he was just a small point guard who you showed had some stuff to him, but you just really didn't know kind of where to place him. And then as he grew, when he was a junior on PVI, he had a very obvious role, and that was to get the ball in the hands of who needs
yeah,
the ball, and then you need to get after it on the defensive end. Then as a senior, or I would argue more so as in spring and summer with Team Takeover, them handing him the keys to the offense is what really helped his confidence as well heading into his senior year at PVI to the point where now not only do I have to worry about getting the guys, the ball where they need it, but I need to keep my defender honest as well by converting on threes or making those strong drives. But obviously the cause for concern with Ben was always his height, and his size, and how does that translate? Now he's going to the ACC, which is a huge step up from say an A10. Maybe not as huge anymore, just because with the transfer portal and everything, but it's a step. I agree with you in terms of he's not going to come in there and turn the league upside down if he were still going to Rhode Island, but
yes.
he's one of those guys who like, man, he's a freshman. So imagine how he's going to be as a junior or senior. He's really going to be able to run this team. Because I was, again, another kid that played in my backyard was Ace Baldwin, who I know Rhode Island fans
Oh,
are
wow.
are
Yeah.
familiar with.
That was a big
Uh,
blow to BCU when he transferred.
yeah, so I mean, and that was another one you saw coming. The coaching staff left. Ace is going to
Yes,
follow
that's true.
those guys,
Yeah.
but with Ace, he had a different type of. He is kind of my standard when I am looking at point guards nowadays. Is like because when I saw him, even when Ace was a freshman in high school, there was something different there that you knew right away. I
Yeah.
don't think Ben has that or had that or has that yet, but Ace has always had that, so it was very easy to say, "Oh, he's going to go to VCU," and I mean, he's going to find a way. Like he's going to find a way, and he's going to be a big impact as a freshman. I think Ben was just going to be that very steady, safe. He would make the fan base feel very secure that like, hey, this is a freshman point guard, and he's already out here, running the offense. Not scoring 12 points a game, but we should just feel very safe when the ball is in his hands.
Okay. Well, I always end on this. When it comes to Rhode Island basketball, it's always go Rhody. Thanks again, Colby.
Thank you.